and welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, IWL Commissioner Juan, Cena, and with me this evening, Scott Anderson. How you doing tonight, Scott?
Well, pretty good now. How are you?
Better than most people, I assume.
Setting the bar not too high. That's all right.
Nope. 6 inches from the ground.
Oh, my.
So this episode will be... What fucking cycle are we in? April? Spring!
Spring.
This will be the...
Spring has sprung.
This will be the spring first take Tubecast. So we're going to start off with the B. So Mr. Anderson, what do you got for us in the BRL?
Well, for the BRL, primarily what I wanted to talk about is what I noticed on the title page, which is two things. First of all, looks like the Molsons crushed it. TV champ, Southern champ, and six-man champs. Nice job to those gentlemen. But then also, something that stuck out to me was the number of women's division champions on the front page of the BRL.
Oh, there you go. Women's Revolution in full effect.
Full effect. No better place in the IWA for women's wrestling. So in a league that I couldn't get on the title page with a 497, we had cheerleader Sassy Red, Siren, am I saying that right?
Siren,
thank you. Siren Demented, Asuka Okada, Jane the Vixen Red, all with singles championships. And then Bitter Cold Becky, the tag team and TV 6-person champions. So 5 separate women characters on the front page. Kudos to those managers.
Yeah, man, I dig that. I think my first take out of the BRL is Jimmy North's TT. Talks about a lot of different people here, but he does mention Venom Scott specifically. That feud is starting to heat up. So I'm real curious to see what they do moving forward. And maybe we'll see 16 and Angelo Marksmith team with Jimmy North to take on Venom Scott and his men. Or women. I'm not 100% sure. Is Dragon Knight a woman, you think? So I'm thinking like the lady from Game of Thrones.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be a genderist, but
you always see her titties.
Are those? Is the chest of that particular person mentioned in here?
No.
Oh, you're just
hoping,
including it? Yeah. Seems like more of just what you're wishing is there.
How come there's like titties all over Game of Thrones?
It seems to be pretty prevalent.
Lots of titties. I don't mind that though.
I mean, I think that's the only reason you watch.
I don't even watch it. I just watch the titty parts. Like there's a compilation on a very notorious website that I know people that frequent.
Oh.
They just have all the titty parts. So I feel like I'm an expert in that show just because I watch the titty parts.
You got it all figured out.
Yeah.
I think the only montage I've ever seen of that show is the guy with the scarred face and all of his insults, and that's the only thing I've ever seen from that show. Like, he is savage in his insults. Okay. Speaking of which, Noble Savage League needs a new logo. It's on the IWAR network. I think we should go with it. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's the real Noble Savage of the Macho King, Randy Savage, is the only real Noble Savage.
That was such a good call on your part. I never put together Noble and Savage to mean the Macho King, but excellent call.
You know, I would go take over that league just so I can change the logo, but I might get in trouble because I don't want to be taking over a dead league. So there's that.
Oh, don't stretch the collar. What are we talking about?
I'm talking about El Gato and the fact that he's shining up his trophy here.
Dude, anything with El Gato is gold.
Yes. And Luther Alexander was very upset that he was so upset that his taco was missing that he accused El Gato of stealing his taco. And if he's going to see El Gato again, he's going to punch him right in the face.
Seems like a Luther move.
A fucking cat, man. Can we talk about the glory of the Jane the Vixen Red picture here? I'm not sure what IRC means.
IRC. Let's look at it.
Well, it's on her chest. It's on her titty balls.
I know what it is.
What is it?
IWAR Revolution Champion.
Is that just like on her gear, or is that like a medal she's wearing?
I believe it is on her gear.
It reminds me of when Coco Beware used to have WWF on the back of his trunks.
Hey, sometimes you got to advertise, my man.
That's the way he does it.
As much as she's been beating everybody up, I think she can wear whatever she wants.
I have a question about this picture. Where do you
Yes?
think her hand is?
I don't think I can answer that question and remain PG.
There's nothing about this show that's ever been considered PG, ever.
I would say that the hand is not viewable from that perspective.
Do you think she has a thumb in the bum?
I
And that's why that she has that look on her face. Because that's definitely a face of someone who currently has a thumb in her bum.
You're gonna make me say it, aren't you? I don't think that is only a thumb.
Oh.
I mean, just from the perspective of the picture.
I'm saying she got all five. She got all 5 fingers in there.
I don't feel comfortable continuing this line of questioning.
We love Catfish Rob. Catfish Rob, please keep up the fantastic work. I desperately want you in the IWL, by the way, if you listen to this, please. He'll be the only person ever asked to join a league that I commissioned, by the way.
I've never heard you do that before.
No.
So, Catfish, it's real, man.
That is real. Okay, next up is the CWL. And since I'm sitting here with the new CWL commissioner, Scott Anderson, tell us some of the changes going on currently in the CWL.
I'd like to think got some interesting positive additions and alterations. First one is how the Continental title will be defended, the kind of world heavyweight type title in the CWL.
Yes.
Be a best of 5 series. The challenger must win 3 matches. So if there's a draw, 2-2-1 doesn't win the title. You got to win 3. Got to win 3 matches. Doesn't matter if you win 3 matches by 1 point and then lose 2 matches by 75 points. You win 3, you get the gold. Along with that, make sure you are trash talking if you're interested in that. The number 1 contenders tournaments will feature up to 32 wrestlers.
Holy shit.
I know. Spare no expense. So you can see there the first number 1 contenders tournament. It's pretty small because I had to fit 32 people in a very small amount of space. Fresh chance for everyone. Just got a TT and win those matches.
Now for this tournament, what's the tiebreaker, or is there a tiebreaker?
The tiebreaker, if there is a draw, the best finish in the Battle Royal will break the tie.
So guys, make sure you put in your $1 for your Battle Royal entry, because that's how they're gonna determine winners on draws. So keep that in mind.
And as much as I encourage people to join the Battle Royal, because you are definitely correct, if you're interested in being Continental Champion, best thing you can do to help yourself, in addition to just having a good strat, is to make sure you trash talk. If you don't want to trash talk, that's your biz. But only trash talkers are going to be continuing in those tournaments. So there's that. Best of 5 series. This time around will feature. I didn't want to wait to do a best of 5 series. I thought it was important to kick it off right away.
Makes sense.
So the 2 finalists from the tournament to crown the new Continental Champion are going to have the first best of 5 series. So Mr. Magnificent, Jamie Montgomery gets that first opportunity at that dastardly Barry Stevens. So Eastern and Western Championships, new titles coming to the CWL. So if you're interested in those, make sure you trash talk. And then Eastern Champion will more or less, you can read the details, but to summarize, the Eastern Champion challengers will come from the regional champions of those top 5 titles, and the Western challenger will come from the bottom 5 challengers.
That's
or
interesting.
bottom 5 regional. So
The bottom bitches.
well, I mean, they're just the bottom half. So I'm going to make a comment that I decided not to make. So basically, if you win a regional, you're going to be in a number 1 contenders match the following cycle, as long as you trash talk. Just have to trash talk every other cycle for that. Tantam and Trinity titles will both be defended in a best of 3 series. There is a timeline in the CWL Bulletin if you're interested in that. I think the timeline is pretty spelled out, but I did get a couple of really excellent questions that I wanted to clarify. If a team loses a match, they are out of contention for number 1 contenders. So if I'm Team A and I have 3 matches, right? I pick 1, and then 2 other teams challenge me. I have to win all 3 matches to stay in. But if I win all 3 matches, I just eliminated 3 teams. So the idea is if you lose a match, you're out. The idea, hopefully, that we'll learn as we go along, because it is a process. It'll be messy the first time around. That's okay.
That's what she said.
It's late. I left myself wide open for that.
Ew.
Oh, no. Another one. The innuendos are so prevalent tonight. The idea is you have to not lose a match to advance to the next tier. The idea with that is precisely what it sounds like. It's that most teams will be eliminated by the time we would determine a number 1 contender. Because there are currently, looks like 1, 2, let's count them, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 teams in addition to the champions. So we don't want 10 teams making it to the 3rd tier. We really only want 2 or 3 making it to that 3rd tier. So that last cycle there would be the number 1 contender matches, which I would place into the bulletin, and then those teams would have to make those challenges. To try and clarify further, if a team loses a match and they're out of contention, they're not required to sign any more Tantum matches until the next series starts, until it circles back around. So you're not required to sign a Tantum match at all, really. But if your team is not involved in a Tantum match, then you're going to be eliminated. So you have to be active to stay involved, but you're really only hurting yourself if you're not involved, if that makes sense.
Sure does.
Okay. So it's in your interest if you care to be involved. And then the idea is if so-and-so, if the Stones are killing it, which they are, right?
Yeah.
And you want to eliminate them, you get with your buddy and you're like, hey, we're all 3 going to challenge the Stones so that one of us takes them out, and they beat all 3 of you. Well, now you're all 3 out and the Stones have less people to fight later on. So that's the idea there. Do you have any questions, or did I explain that?
No, I think we got it.
It is mentioned in the bulletin, but I will say a new team can join next cycle. You can either message me. I have several modes of communication, or you can just put it in your TT. There's a new team that showed up in the CWL this cycle with a very Thin Lizzy themed music, and they could join the Tantum division next cycle, and they could be entered in this first time. Otherwise, you got to wait till it cycles back around. So you can join anytime you want, but you're not going to be involved until the process starts over again.
Makes all the sense in the world to me.
If you have questions, please let me know, those of you listening, because I do want to answer them. I know it's a lot to take in. That's what she said. Oh, man. 4 Corners Invitational. I'm excited about that. By the way, that has, 64 wrestlers in it?
It does.
Okay, so even if you're not in the CWL, you can double check, see if your wrestler is in your league's bracket.
Do you think for next year we should get this closer to March Madness?
Yes, I think that would be a good move. Can I tell you the other thing I want to do?
Sure.
Because now that I'm the CWL commissioner and the 4 Corners Invitational is the CWL annual event.
Yes.
Next year, I would like to place every active wrestler in each of the 4 leagues in a tournament.
You're a crazy person.
I am a crazy person. That's what I want to do.
You're a crazy person. I mean,
I am a crazy person.
It's your deal, but
that's what I want to do.
that shit just makes me nervous just thinking about it.
That's what I want to do.
Okay.
I want to have the biggest tournament we've ever had.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Man, I dig it, man.
Big things.
All right. So my first take is that everyone should stop what they're doing currently. Press pause on the Tubecast. Go to your CWL bulletin and read Barry taking the Stevens TT for the cycle. It is the best TT of the entire cycle in the IWAR. And if it's in the IWAR, it means it's the best TT in the game right. Fantastic. I'm not going to read it here for you, but go check it out because it's awesome. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the IWL. Lots of stuff going down in the IWL, the home of the new IWAR World Champion, Graham Underwood.
Did that happen?
Sure as hell did. So, Mr. Anderson, you run Graham Underwood. Can you please tell us about the path that Graham Underwood had to take to become the IWAR World Champion.
Without sounding like a big jerk, sure, I'll do my best.
I had a big jerk this morning before I went out for the day.
And it was the highlight of your day, and it was all downhill from there. It's okay. Okay, so.
2 hands, motherfucker, 2 hands.
Oh, okay. That's moving on. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Graham Underwood and his path to the championship.
Graham Underwood. Okay, so he joins the IWL in the beginning of 2017. He gets told that he has an NXT name generator name.
Which is true.
He manages between January and April of last year to earn enough points that he is placed as one of the 8 combatants in the Best of the Best tournament. He wins the Best of the Best tournament. I think, would that have been Wrestle Riot?
Yeah, I believe it was Wrestle Riot.
Okay, so he wins the Best of the Best tournament, right? So 3 cycles in a row he had to beat somebody.
Yep.
Then he challenges for the IWL heavyweight title in December at Stark, the highlight of the NWL year. Manages to defeat the Great David, who had held the title for almost a year, or even longer than a year, right?
Longer than a year, yeah.
Manages to win the title from the Great David. First opportunity at the NWL World or heavyweight titles. IWL, sorry. IWL, we'll edit it. He wins the IWL heavyweight title in his first opportunity. Then in his first chance to be the challenger for the IWAR World title against Ricky Kyle, he qualifies to be the challenger because the new rules state that you have to have the highest average of the commissioner champions. So he had the highest average of those 4 champions in order to challenge. And Ricky Kyle had held the title for 9 months, defeating everyone in sight. Awesome champion. And Graham manages to defeat Ricky Kyle in that series that finished up this cycle. So it was a series of he had to win. He had to, first of all, earn enough points to be in a tournament to qualify. Then he had to win that tournament. Then he had to win the IWL title. Then he had to have the highest average to qualify to challenge IWAR World title. Then he had to defeat a very high-level player to win the IWAR World title. An easy thing to do.
Yeah, man, and that's why I call the IWAR World Championship the real World Championship. And not to disparage the IWA World Championship. We all want to win that belt.
Oh, I know I do.
That's why we played the game, is to win that actual belt, to have that actual belt in our hands. It means a lot to us, right? It means a lot to everyone. But what's different from the IWAR World Championship and the IWA World Champion, the IWA World Champion is given to the person with essentially the best strategy of that particular cycle. So the best wrestler for one cycle becomes the world champion. And then the next cycle, the next wrestler with that strategy, the best wrestler from that cycle, becomes the world champion.
Correct.
When it comes to the IWAR World Championship, you have to run through hoops, and you have to have a sustained track record of success and high-quality strats just to even qualify for a shot at that championship belt. So that's why I consider the IWAR World Championship the real World Championship. And Graham Underwood is that champion, and he resides in the IWL. Now, speaking of the IWL, we have a lot of stuff going on. We're coming off the pay-per-view, the Soul Survivor pay-per-view. If you haven't take time out to read that pay-per-view, please do. Hopefully that Dr. Slam gets well from his third degree burns. His third degree burns.
That may have been my favorite. All respect to Barry Stevens. I think that may have been the favorite thing I read this cycle.
This cycle began the MSG, Madison Square Garden Tag League tournament, and I want to quickly go over the winners.
Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it's a big deal. We had Grover Dill and Scott Farkas. They defeated Roughneck Nicky Rocks and Mr. 187 Tony Dime. We had Drunken Fisherman and Drunken Camper, who defeated JJ Downs and TJ Relic. We had Graham Underwood and Kennedy Cage pin Luther Alexander and Alec Von Schnapp. And we had Fortune 500 Aaron McFleece and Hostile Takeover and they defeated Tim Riggins III and Dr. Slam. We had Big Blank number 4 and Big Blank number 3, who defeated Ali Atari and FL Slobberknocker. And then finally, our mystery team was revealed as questionable motives. So we had Hannibal and Jamie Montgomery, and they defeated John Slaughter and Isaac Slaughter. So all of those teams advance. So again, this is for a shot at the IWC World Tag Team Championship and 20 free matches. So giving away tons of prizes, as always, in the eye. Don't forget that we have our next pay-per-view, and that's Wrestle Riot. And I forgot, was it 90? Cycle 90 would be the date for that. Main event of that show will be Graham Underwood defending the IWL Heavyweight Championship against Dakar Wolof. And I think we're going to make that a cage match. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Anderson? Inside the steel cage?
Why not? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it to it.
Steel cage, why not?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah.
Although I do think that gives the challenger an advantage. I wouldn't say Graham's best match is a steel cage match.
Well, figure this way. I think it's to keep all the outside interference out, because I know the Chaotix are going to want to jump in, and of course you have Noble House. So, there must be a winner on that.
You are not wrong.
Although, what happens if it's a draw? You got to make up something interesting.
Oh, I think we'd come up with something. Not a double kick to the groin, though.
Wasn't that awful?
That's so bad.
That's so 1998.
I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's so bad. They should be ashamed.
Yeah. How's Nakamura ever going to have babies? You don't think kids in school are just walking around kicking each other in the nuts now?
Certainly possible.
Because I would. Like I saw it on wrestling. We're just kicking people in the crotch all day.
I saw it on TV. It's fine.
Imagine that, like, when we were kids, we would do wrestling moves on our friends with body slams and suplexes. But how are kids today supposed to do wrestling moves on their friends? They can't do no 450 splash.
I mean, they can. That's how they break their neck.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. You ever seen that video of that kid who does that German suplex and lands on his head into the pool?
No, but I've seen the one where the guy tries to do that flip and he lands on his head. And then I've seen the one where the guy tries to jump like 47 feet from the air. I don't know why I like 47 so much. He tries to jump so high up in the air and he misses the table. If you haven't seen it, you got to look it up. Yes, Jim Cornette talks about it. It's hilarious.
That's when he was he's on the side of the building, like on the fucking whatever. Yeah, I saw that.
And he jumps like 30 feet. And whatever jerk is on the table doesn't try and catch him. He just moves out of the way.
The guy went splats.
And the guy just splats. It's bad. It's so bad.
Talking about the IWL, we are down in cards. This might be the first time that we're not going to hit the top 10 guys. So I'm a little saddened by that. Not saying that you guys should all go out and spend $40 a cycle in the IWL. I'm just saying.
It's just not a typical IWL cycle.
Yeah, like we're 30 cards down? That doesn't happen normally.
Yeah, normally it's at least 70. So 70 to 85.
Yeah. I mean, that one time we hit 100 was awesome.
That is awesome.
I mean, we did have some notable guys inactive this cycle, so I'm assuming once they come back next cycle that we'll be in a better position. But again, between that and the trash talk, which seemed to kind of light this cycle, I'm a little disappointed, but I know you guys will pick it up in the next cycle, so I'm not all that worried about it. So guys, next up is the NWL, the Nuclear Winter League. This is cycle 113. I love the cover, by the way. Probably the best cover I've seen in the NWL in a very long time. That includes my own.
Yeah.
We love the Patient Stalker here in the IWAR Tubecast. We also have the next pay-per-view, which is Second City Slamboree. Drake vs. Galaxy for the Young Lions Championship. So, Mr. Anderson, what's your first take from the NWL?
Well, in addition to the honorable mention of Patient Stalker being on the cover of the Ringside magazine, we spoke about that at length on the last Tubecast. But this cycle, I wanted to take a quick look at the team with no name and how what I feel like is a good example of how your TT, your trash talk, doesn't have to be long to get your point across.
I know that for sure.
He covers 2 orders of business. First, he won the league title. Took him a lot longer than he wanted, but now he's a league champion. Second order of business, talking about the Rising Star Championship, and he's going to ride the biggest wave of them all. So he ties in the name of the league, he talks about what he needs to talk about, and he mentions both the official IWA sanctioned titles and the Commissioner Championships.
Wow.
So it's concise. You don't have to read 4 pages worth, and you get what you need. So kudos to the team with no name.
There it is. I think for me, when I look at the NWL, number one, I wonder if Patient Stalker and Phantom Striker should be a tag team for some reason. I think that's funny. I find that funny for me for some reason.
You know they have the same initials.
I know, but again, I'm looking at my boy Johnny Carnage here. Talking about the Patient Stalker. So I'm really looking forward to see where that feud goes from here. I think it's going to be violent. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. And I think it might be the top feud going forward in the NWL. For the
took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say it could be potentially.
Well, much better than taking the penis out of your mouth.
Well, that's true. Could potentially be the 2018 feud of the year for the NWL. Easily. Has that potential.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget that Owen Marshall, he's the lawyer that's representing the Giants. And he recently filed a lawsuit against the IWA for discrimination because they discriminated against Giants. And he says that his clients are being passed over for title shots. And I wonder if Mr. Owen Marshall knows that all he has to do to get a title shot, a tag team title shot, or a regional title shot, is to challenge the champion. That's it, folks. No discrimination there. Yeah, some people you just can't reach. Where's the Mortels when you need them? They knew what they were talking about.
I was a fan.
We all were.
Mortels. Yeah. Isn't Karen still there?
Karen's around.
Yeah.
Smells like tuna fish, though.
You can't see it, but I am shaking my head.
Not even not like the actual tuna fish, but like, say for example, you left the can out in the sun for like 2 days. And then the smell that's emanating from the bottom of that can is what Karen smells like. And she's bald. What's the Giants' record right now?
Which one? The Giant or a Giant?
Oh, for fuck's sake, really? The Giant is at 48, 136, and 8 Giants at 29, 151. Karen's at 67 and 224. Guys, if you're listening to this, please get in contact with us. Get in contact with the league commissioner. We can help you. You don't have to lose every single match every cycle anymore. We have 2 new wrestlers in the NWO, Crackerjack Man and the Wyatts. No, Wyatt the Outlaw Corral. So I like Dirty Mike and the Boys. He's a new wrestler.
Where's that at?
He's ranked number 13.
Okay. Oh, Dirty Mike.
Yeah.
Is that like the host of that show? Isn't his name Mike?
What show are you referring to?
The show with the guy who he's like a...
Because I know a couple of shows that are hosted by a guy named Dirty Mike, but I think we're talking about 2 different things here.
I think we are too. I'm talking about the guy who... He's a really big advocate for trade occupations. Isn't his name Mike? He goes on a lot of shows. He's had his own show on probably one of those home network channels.
I think you're making this person up.
No, I'm going to look him up right now. You're going to hear my horrible computer clicking.
Did you have a typewriter with a tablet on it?
How did you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Mike, it's like Dirty Jobs or something.
Ew.
He was a host of Dirty Jobs. I'm going to look him up right now. Mike Rowe. His name is Mike. Mike Rowe. And he was a host of a show, Dirty Jobs.
Ed may or may not given 1 or 2 dirty jobs in the past. So
I don't even want to know. I
was young. I was in college.
I don't even want to know what it means. I don't want to know. I want to live in ignorant bliss of knowing what that means.
Okay. Like a white dragon. If you don't know what a white dragon is, look it up on the Google machine. But make sure you erase your search history when you're done. All right, guys. So that is the NWL. Do you have anything to leave us on, Mr. Anderson?
Something good. I hear the IWAR World Champion is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I could leave you on.
I dig that. All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. So for Scott Anderson, I'm Juan Cena.